You are listening to the 312 Squadron podcast. My name is Nick Sperry.
I'm Manny.
And I'm Andrew.
Well, guys, we got plenty to talk about this week. We're going to talk about a big topic, barriers to entry for new players and just the new player experience at large, which will be a bit of a short series coming up here with the
Yeah.
podcast. We're going to talk about the Rebel Y-Wing, kind of soft spot for all of our hearts, especially those
Yes.
original trilogy fans, and much more. But first, Halloween just happened. When this episode comes out, will have been a couple of weeks removed from spooky time, but we were just talking about and reminiscing about our fond Halloween memories. Andrew, how was your Halloween? What'd you do?
Yeah, had a really fun Halloween. My cousin actually threw a murder mystery party, which was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Uh, yeah. I think it was a great idea just because, Zoe and I were meeting like her friends for the first time. Like, it's a great way for like a lot of people, if they don't know each other, to really feel comfortable just hanging out and talking because you're like in character in the beginning when you're like meeting people. So when the murder mystery's done, it's really easy to just like talk to everybody and meet everybody. The murder mystery itself was a blast. I thought I figured out who the murderer was like through the whole thing, and then it threw a wacky curveball at the end that I did not see coming.
It's the way it has to be. It's like
That's
directed by
right.
Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like exactly a movie for him. It's called
It's
Glass Onion.
perfect. Yeah. What's the next one going to be called? Titanium Turnip?
That sounds awesome.
That's going to be the third installment of the Knives Out series. That's awesome.
Titanium turnip sounds like if you ever follow on Instagram, whenever like Chinese whenever they like translate something into English and it's just not quite right. Like I could see going to like a Shanghai grocery store and seeing like titanium turnips like on sale.
Yeah, plenty of titanium turnips.
Yeah.
Speaking of turning up, Manny and I went
What
out.
a transition! Wait, I had to I have to give you credit to that transition. Usually I would crap on you for this, but that was actually great.
Well, I don't think I could. I can't. I've peaked. I don't know if I should even talk anymore.
It's all
To
downhill
be
from here,
honest.
folks. Just
It's all downhill
don't
from
listen to this
here.
podcast ever again. It's all downhill.
Yeah, and people just use that out of context and be like, "Well, he said not to listen to it anymore, so I stopped." Yeah. Well, we Manny and I and a few of our friends dressed up and went out about the town in Andersonville, which is close to where Manny and I live, kind of the northern part of the city, a nice little province of Chicago. I
Yep.
was Oppenheimer. I dressed up as Oppenheimer, and honestly, I thought I pulled it off. I looked like Al Capone though, going into work the other day, yesterday for Halloween, like wearing that costume with the gloves. It was really cold.
Yeah, like do people just like understand your costume, or did they have to ask? Usually.
Most people, I mean, there was a couple people that asked. Sometimes I get annoyed when people like have like really bad guesses, like really dumb. I'm like, what are you talking about?
You
Like,
got.
there was one. There was somebody on Snapchat that asked me what I like if I was from. I don't even remember. I'll have to. It's hard to. I'm trying to think about what she said, but I was just like, I'm like, no, that's not it at all.
I feel like Oppenheimer is a costume where you need the gloves to and
You
the
need the
fedora to
cigarette
really
and
pull it off.
you gotta
Yeah.
have the hat. You have to have the hat. I had the
Yeah.
hat. I didn't have the fake cigarette, but I did have the button, the K6 button from the Manhattan Project. But people who see the movie wouldn't understand it if you hadn't seen it. I think that's the thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It's that people who hadn't seen the movie probably wouldn't get it.
True,
Because
but I feel like if like just by commercials and stuff, you should probably have some idea,
Yeah,
right?
but it
I don't
just
know. I'm
didn't
maybe giving
reach
people
the
too much credit.
mainstream to the level of Barbie. So a lot more people dressed up as Barbie, which is was not surprising.
Yeah,
Um,
no, because we saw like what 2 Kens,
we
including
saw,
the
yeah,
one that we had. Yeah,
including Mark. Yeah, exactly.
yep.
oh,
Manny
that's
was
fun.
Spider-Man. What version of Spider-Man though from Spider-Verse?
Spider-Man 2099. A Miguel O'Hara. I just basically looked for a kid, called him a anomaly, and told him that his father has to die because it was a canon event.
He just found a kid and told him his father has to
Yeah.
die. It's,
Yep.
So to complete the costume, yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
completely.
I was really
I'm not sure
cool with
how
the
I see
costume.
that, but I don't know if you visualize that. But
Yeah.
I don't
yeah,
know,
everybody
I
at home,
mean,
there you go.
yeah. Well, I guess like that's kind of spoilers if you haven't seen the film, so I'm
It's kind of
sorry. But I
I
highly do recommend
grace
it.
period's
Great
over.
film. Yeah.
Grace period's over.
It's up by yeah, it's like what 3 or 4 months old.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great time. Halloween was great. I appreciate everybody. I posted in the Discord the other day about show me your Halloween costumes. We got some amazing pictures, so I appreciate you all and part of our community showing those off. I thought you all looked
Yeah.
awesome. That
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was fun.
And we look forward to the holidays continuing on as, pretty soon we'll have our turkey trot store champ right before Thanksgiving. And then, of course, we'll have December rolling up with Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa and all that good stuff. And
Yeah.
lots
Yeah,
to
It'll
look
be
hard to
forward to.
believe that
2024.
it's there
Hard to
already, yeah,
believe.
that
Yeah.
time.
Jeez,
Yeah.
seriously. Absolutely. No.
Well, I went as a pirate, since I still have the eye patch from the Bell's palsy. I don't have to wear it anymore, but I was like, since I had it, Zoe and I already planned, being
Resourceful.
pirates. Yeah, is
Nice.
there, so that was a lot of fun.
That was great.
Nice.
I have to shout out Ian, Andrew, Ian, the writer at our company. He used to work. For those of you that don't know, Andrew used to work for the company I work for now. So I say
Yeah.
our company, his former company, my current company. Anyways, he dressed up as Doctor Strangelove, and it was
Oh,
absolutely
wow.
amazing. And he even
Yeah.
had the glove on, and he was like choking himself with the cigarette in the other hand, and he had the glasses down. It was just phenomenal. So
Yeah, those glasses are hard to find too.
I
Yeah,
really
those perfectly round glasses. If you
appreciated
haven't
that.
seen Doctor Strangelove, that's another costume I think you'd have to see, the movie.
Yeah,
Well worth it,
yeah,
though.
absolutely.
One of my favorite Stanley Kubrick films.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. He's so funny. Peter Sellers. All right. Anything else about any actually, you know what? I'm gonna ask one quick question. Are you a big turkey fan for Thanksgiving, or is there something you'd
I
rather
know where
have?
this is going. I'm actually pretty indifferent. Growing up in a Mexican family, turkey was not really a thing for Thanksgiving. It was usually like other dishes, but yeah, I'm pretty indifferent about it. It's not the greatest thing in the world. I'll go for something else.
Ooh, I love turkey. I love dark meat on any form of any like chicken. I'd rather have the dark meat. Turkey is one of those things where like I love the dark meat of the turkey. Like I'll take the legs and thighs like all day.
Yeah,
And then
unfortunately, that's like 10% of the bird.
yeah, yeah, that's true. I don't mind even like the white meat though for sandwiches like afterwards, but
Yeah.
if I'm just having turkey, man, I really love turkey. I'm a big fan of Thanksgiving foods. My favorite though of all the fowl would be duck, and
Yeah,
so
sure.
that's
Okay.
always good. But yeah, no, big fan of turkey.
Yeah, I'm curious. You all should let us know if you have any hot takes about Thanksgiving foods. Always love these conversations. For me, it's like I have to equate turkey to like when somebody like in college is like, "Man, you gotta listen to the song when you're tripping on acid," Like I'm like, "Okay, well, it's like the acid is
Is the song
gravy."
really that good?
So it's like if this the song really that good if you need to slather it with cranberry sauce and gravy and all the other good fixings that I love, they're great, delicious. Is it really that good? So that's really my thoughts on turkey. I would rather have ham or something else, but I get why some of you do like it, and the dark meat part of turkey is good, but unfortunately, a lot of it isn't the dark meat, especially when you carve into it and you got a big group of people eating the bird. So, yeah, I just appreciate these
Is that the
conversations.
issue with you? It's everyone's fighting over the dark meat in your family
I
because
mean, I think everybody would rather have that, or most people would. My issue, Andrew, is that like most of the turkeys, it's just really dry and flavorless, and that's why
oh,
people love to
I
pour gravy all over it. Like you get into the white meat, if you're like you bake a sandwich with it, I'm like great, but let's say you can't do any of that. Like I would
boy,
rather have something else. So.
it sounds like you just haven't had a well cooked
I
turkey.
hate when people say that. That drives me. I've had so. Oh my god, that is literally like I could put $1 trillion on that being
It's
the most
not
predictable
supposed to be
response.
dry. Where are you getting all these dry turkeys?
It
It's
inherently
too.
is dry.
It is. It's a
It's like one of the drier meats.
very big thing to cook. It's just naturally going to be drier as you
Because
get
you gotta
when you cut
brine
into
it.
it further. Oh,
Yeah.
I've had
You
every
gotta
part of my
wet brine
family.
it.
They all cook. My dad owned a bakery. He
Okay.
loves to cook. He loves turkey. I've had so many different people prepare it and brine it and everything. And I give them credit because it's hard. It's a laborious process, and
Yeah.
I just still don't appreciate it as much, which makes me feel bad because they worked really hard, but I just don't like it. I guess that's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the great thing about Thanksgiving is there's usually just a ton of other casseroles and other dishes around
Other
too.
things that
That
you
Yep.
could, yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is always like a greatest hits album of like fall food.
Okay, well, speaking of, we're talking about X-Wing usually, but we got time to do that. Favorite side?
If
Mashed
if I'm
potatoes.
if I'm putting together a 20-point list for Thanksgiving, uh,
That's
I,
amazing. That was really
Mashed
I'm
good.
potatoes, 6
I'm
points at least.
I'm right. That's your 6-point ship
I don't know, I
is
just
a mashed
literally
potato.
made
It
it
could
up.
be, yeah.
You just made it 6.
That it's doing the heavy lifting, right? It's like your 7-point, 6-point main or side is going to be doing the heavy lifting in your list on your plate. So if I'm putting together a 20-point plate, I'm going to go with that turkey thigh as that's going to be my main. I want that as like my 6-point ship. I am going to go for my aunt makes a really good green bean casserole. I'm going to put 2 points on that as my
We're really
objective.
doing this. This is a quite a bit. I
Maker.
like it.
I'm gonna put 4 points into these yam, like
Okay, you're at 13.
they're yam like muffins that you can make, which is great. But I will also like I feel like you can switch that out uh with like a sweet potato casserole as well. So you can go either one on that. And let's see what and then mashed potatoes I think is just good around all around
Yeah.
4-point of ship. It can carry
It's
objectives,
a
it
good
can go for
objective
points.
carrier, yes. If
I
your
mean,
objective is your
it
bloatedness,
plays the field,
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
can it's maneuverable. It can work both sides of the objectives. Yeah.
I mean, the most beautiful thing about Thanksgiving is that we all get to share in the IBS together, right? We're all bloated and feeling a little gross at the end
Yeah,
after we've eaten
afterward.
all that food.
Ooh, also,
Uh,
big fan of appetizers. I think everybody has like a different like appetizer starter course, and I'm going to put the rest of my points in there. Usually some
okay.
cheese plates, usually some, while
Some
everyone's like,
charcuterie.
yeah, charcuterie, everyone's getting around like they're notching. I'm going to say that that's going to carry it because like it's part of the pre meal, but I think it still counts.
That's pretty good. Manny, what are some other shout outs besides mashed potatoes? You shouted that out very, you were like, mashed potatoes as soon as I
It's
asked
like
the
the best
question.
one, and it carries almost all of Thanksgiving, like, for me. But,
Potatoes are good, man.
yeah, but, pumpkin pie, that's also pretty good as
Oh,
well.
my
Yeah.
favorite actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pumpkin,
you know what?
yeah,
I am
cobblers
gonna
are
give
good.
that
Wow.
10 points and mashed potatoes 10 points. There, 20.
Boom. Yeah, you have to think too hard, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Double fire
Yeah.
spray there. Yeah.
Yeah, and for those of you at home who don't want to worry about sourcing all the ingredients, you can buy a standardized list of upgrades slash sides while your Thanksgiving meal. You go to your nearest grocery store, you can buy it
What
all.
would be, like, the standardized, like,
So
Turkey,
Thanksgiving
this
meal
cranberry
is
that you would
sauce,
get
gravy.
from,
mashed
like
potatoes.
Gravy is the loadout points, right? Like, your
Yeah,
mashed potatoes, like the loadout value is going to be like, do you like extra garlic? I like a garlicky mashed potato
yeah.
with chives in it too.
I'm
Like
gonna say
that's
I'm gonna
that's what I'm
say
carrying in my talent slots.
I would probably go for the budget. I would go with ham at 5 points. I'm a ham guy. I'd go ham at 5, and then I would do Brussels sprouts for 3. Okay, that's 8. I would do 4 points for mac and cheese. That's 12. And then
wait,
I would
is
probably what?
yeah, is mac and cheese like a Thanksgiving thing?
It can be every
Oh,
Can be?
absolutely.
Alright.
Yeah. I mean,
every
Okay.
there's
family's
just
different.
yeah, I love stuffing. I don't know if I'd put stuffing on my list, but I do honorable mention, but I'm a big scalloped potatoes guy. I love
Ooh,
I like baked in the oven. You can even put a little cheese on top. Made it au gratin. So that's where I'd put the rest of my points. But I think
that
we would all enjoy each other's food.
Yeah.
Is what it's coming down to here. So there's no like red hot takes that like alarm me about you guys where I would need to call the FBI or anything, which is good.
What would that
sounds
be?
like, oh, like
It
a
would have to be
turducken.
like a really nasty casserole or something, probably. If you were like I don't know. I think the thought of like having a tuna casserole for Thanksgiving would frighten me, but
Straight to the
I
gulag.
actually
Gulag.
How
I love
un-American.
seafood more than anything, so that would actually be an okay Thanksgiving. Sounds like
Alright, you know what?
we got a
Straight to the
friendly
gulag,
Sounds
one.
like a
Andrew.
you problem, Nick.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
I know
Andrew is now recording from the gulag.
I'm definitely alone on a lot of what I eat on Seafood Island. I mean, when I say I love
Yeah.
seafood, I love almost all of it.
Yeah, so if you're a fish
Yeah.
out there and Andrew gives you that side eye, you better walk fast.
Ooh,
Walk in the
you
opposite
yeah,
direction.
seriously. No, it yeah, they
Fun
are in
fact,
mortal
everybody,
danger if they're around
Andrew
me.
is banned from the Shed Aquarium because he brought
Yeah.
his, table set with him and he tried to dine in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he eats tuna that's not dolphin safe. What a monster.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, you
Can't believe
can't
I've been
just
friends with him that long.
you can't just accuse me of an international crime on this on
Yes,
this
we can, that's what we
podcast.
do here. That's what we do here now.
Absolutely not. I've
The
never
Accuse
accused
me
a
slander.
of an
dolphin. I
international
never want
crime.
to eat a dolphin. Look, here's the thing. If
Oh.
you're in the ocean and you're a mammal, you're safe. You're fine. I'm not eating mammalian sea life. If 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 you are not endangered and you are a
For
fish that I
the
can
for the
sustainably eat, yeah, you're in
for the
trouble.
3% of podcast listeners who are, in underwater in the ocean, you can breathe a sigh of relief.
For all the dolphins that are listening,
It's like,
yeah.
For all our dolphin listeners out there.
yep.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that was so good. I love that bit. We're counting up the points for your food for Thanksgiving, an international crime being accused of committing. I love it. That's great.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah,
lot
So,
lot
what
of lot
yeah,
of
I love
spice at this
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, what a better segue than to talk about some X-Wing, about break it or buy
There
it.
you
Oh,
go.
do you wanna talk
Also,
X-Wing
I would
now?
say, get in the chat or find us on Discord and let us know how you would build out
How
your
wrong we
20
are.
point plate. No, I just meant, for Thanksgiving, how are you planning on loading out your 20 points, your 20-point dinner plate?
Yeah. All right. I think it's time for our now. I think what's now we have to call our second favorite segment after whatever that just was, because that was amazing. X-Wing, break it or buy it. We're gonna talk about the Y-Wing, the Rebel Y-Wing. I thought about maybe doing Scum or Republic, but here's the thing about the Scum or Republic Y-Wings. They're actually getting a little bit of play right now. Sure, it's only a couple of pilots, but they are more budget friendly in terms of putting in a list right now that I would say most
Yeah.
of the Rebel Y-Wings, although there are some cheaper options that we might mention. I highlighted 3 pilots. I've highlighted Dutch Vander, Nora Wexley, and Horton Salm. The
That's
only
a name I
pilot
haven't
that
heard in a while.
yeah, Horton here's a who. The only pilot that in the Rebel Y-Wing pilot I think that, you might see in lists is Holoken at 3 points, standardized with an APT
Standard.
at I-4
Yeah.
and, double modded opportunity is why Holoken is sometimes in Rebel lists, but everybody else, especially the ones we mentioned, kind of fallen out of favor, for a while now. So does
Yeah.
anybody wanna start us off?
Sure. Well, yeah, I can start us off. But
Sure.
man, I just want to say for an iconic ship, it's something that you kind of want to see in Rebel lists. Like it just feels good to fly Y
It
wings.
it feels good flying. I think when anybody brings a Y-wing, it's kind of exciting, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
cool, it's iconic, yeah, and I do wanna preface what Break It or Buy It is for people who do not know.
Yeah.
Skip that part. So Break It or Buy It, we take a chassis, we pick a few pilots, and we ask, "Would you break it or would you buy it?" If you were to break it, you would, change the loadout or something about the ability, like you would do an errata, fundamentally change the pilot, and what they can load out with, slots, everything like that. Or you could buy it, and you could buy it at the same price, or you could buy it at a cheaper price. So usually we opt to not buy at the same price and not change anything because why would we be talking about it? But it is an option. So who wants to do Dutch?
Yeah, I can get us started with Dutch. Dutch is a Y-wing pilot that I feel like we saw quite a bit of in 2.0 and also at the start of 2.5. Dutch, I felt
Yeah,
like I saw Dutch in a lot of lists. Has a great pilot ability. I think Dutch is probably one of the most played Y-wings that I've seen on the field. Now you really don't see it anywhere else, and we're just going to get into that. The Y Wing is after you perform the target lock action, you may choose one friendly ship at range 1 to 3, and that ship may acquire a lock on the object you locked, ignoring range restrictions. So this is a key piece in setting up those double modded shots where you can go in, take a target lock, and it's at I-4. So it's a
mhm,
great way for those lower initiative ships to get those double locks, or for the higher ones as well, because you can lock it, and even if like Luke hasn't moved yet, or
Right.
even if Han hasn't moved yet, you get that target lock, then they can move into range and choose something else, and then they can get into better firing position by boosting, barrel rolling, things like that. So Dutch
Yeah.
just gives you so many options.
And target locks, double modded, the double modded shots is definitely the name of the game. As many as you can get these days
Yes.
is what will it gives you the best chance to win. I would say. I'm gonna just throw in and quickly interrupt, just to throw in the stat line for the Y wing and the dial. So the Y wing has a native 2 attack dice primary front arc attack, 1 agility. It has 6 hull and 2 shield. And its actions, it has a focus, a target lock, a red barrel roll, and a red reload. And then the dial, it's 1 banks are blue as well as the 1 straight. We also have the 2 hards are white, 2 banks white, 2 straight is blue. Then you have 3 hards that are red, 3 banks that are white, 3 straight that is white, and lastly a 4 straight that is red and a 4K. Sorry, Andrew, keep going.
Yeah, no, no worries. So it's really hard to if it get stressed for any reason, hard to recover that with those blue maneuvers. Um, and also, it's got the 6 hull, 2 shield, but only rolls 1 evade die, so it crits matter a lot
Yeah.
on the Y wing, and hard for it to
Ions.
to yep to roll out of trouble, can be ionized. So Dutch is starting off at 4 points, which is where we see a lot of the meat and potatoes of lists these days. But it's an I4. So there's while we're kind of in a meta where you can start getting I5s at 4 points, having a 4 point, like I4, it's fallen behind a little bit there. It has 12 loadout points. And
Ugh, it's brutal.
yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty light. Doesn't leave you with a lot of options as far as torpedoes go because Dutch is relying on that target lock so heavily. You basically have just enough points to put on proton torpedoes and nothing else.
Mhm.
Because Dutch doesn't want to dive in, I feel like, and doesn't want to get in the mix too often. And those advanced proton torpedoes maybe aren't doing enough, heavy lifting for you. It's only got one talent slot. Um, but it can take, bombs. But I would, because the ability is so good on Dutch.
It's tough. It's not the easiest thing to change.
Yeah. Um, uh, I would say if we were like, I could see keeping the loadout as it is
Uh-huh.
and going down to 3 points.
Sure.
I think Dutch becomes so I'm gonna buy Dutch at 3
Okay.
just because
So
that ability is so powerful.
something that's worth mentioning too, you touched on it briefly with a lot more high initiative. Well, a couple two things. One with high initiatives is that Dutch has to then go. He has to overextend himself to actually be able to get those locks to use his
Yeah.
ability a lot more often right now, just in the current scope of the meta. And the other thing is Rebels like 3 point, 5 point, 7 point options right now. The only good viable 4 point option that we see is Boudica in
Yeah.
comparison. And Boudica, of course, is a Fang, so just a lot more difficult to kill versus a Y wing at the same initiative, same price.
Yeah.
So those are the two things I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah, that's fair. Because you're comparing this to to a Boudica at I4. I feel like at 3 points, this is where that becomes interesting, where you might want to shift around your list, even if you're using things like Boudica, or it might enable, those strategies. Like, even if you keep Han is 7 points, and then you can add Dutch, gives you a
Yeah.
little more options with that final 10 points on how you want to fill it out. And I think Dutch becomes a lot more interesting at 3. The loadout is fine, and I think it's totally okay if you're just like, hey, Dutch, and if I get off, I'll take the proton torpedoes or advanced proton torpedoes. Yeah, the regular ones. If I get one
Mhm.
of those off, it's great. I feel like that's a good value, and it gets to be a piece where Dutch can really play that support role without feeling like it's a
Well, he's
big
only support
issue.
role right now, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and
you
I
put
think
pr-
Yeah.
that's what it's designed to be. I don't think Dutch isn't, I don't think, designed to be the star of the show, but it's
no,
such a great
but with a
support
pro
ship.
torp, his single mod of pro torps, it just feels like 4 points. It starts to
Oh,
become a
yeah.
toss up. Yeah.
Yeah. And no, but I think at 3 points, that's when this becomes a key piece where you can really sit on that ability,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
you can build around it, and even, it might give you, yeah, other options. I'm trying to think of, like, Han is just so good right now. Probably don't wanna, like, remove Han from any list,
Yeah.
but I think there might be a build that doesn't rely on Han that could have Dutch
Yeah.
in it.
And
Yeah.
I
Um,
thi I think with
be
this segment, it's important to for people, especially listening, to know that, like, this is kind of in a vacuum when we're
Yes.
talking about this. It's really hard. It's easy to be like, "Oh, if you do that, then the whole landscape of things change for the faction." It's like, I mean, in some ways, we do make decisions on, like, if we'd break or buy based on what the faction needs, but in other
Mhm.
cases, it's also just based on the chassis and the fact that it doesn't really get any play.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah,
just some.
it's designed just to make it playable, and I think just Dutch's ability, even at the current load as 12, I think is fine. And if it's at 3 points, I think it becomes interesting and becomes a ship that I'm actively looking at putting in lists.
Yeah.
So that's
I do
my
What do
have
you
like a small question though.
yeah,
A 3 point. I believe you could put R3 on him.
yeah,
So with a 3 point Y-wing, they could give two ships
Only
double
one.
mods.
It's
Uh,
just the first target lock out.
right.
So the action triggers the ability once, and then the second lock is just his lock.
oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I mean, and also, I
And
mean, you
that,
don't have to go.
never
I mean,
mind.
yeah, but it's always good having 2 locks. I think that there's definitely a build with that. I think 12 points is totally fine in loadout because you could go the R3 astromech. You can take plasma
Mhm.
torpedoes. That gives you enough for uh,
Yeah.
a payload upgrade, or you can also put on a dorsal turret just to give yourself some, a little extra
Little
protection
coverage.
there. Yeah, just a little more coverage. Throw on an expert handling, and maybe you're not going to be barreling too much, but you never know. There's other stuff you can do with that.
Is he able to take chaff missiles?
Um,
I
let's see. I
think
Should
don't
he
be
see.
able
Yeah,
to.
is.
absolutely. You can
Yeah, all right.
throw on some electric chaff missiles.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I like the idea of if you were to keep him at 4 points, then I would say, giving him 4 or 5 more loadout would seem pretty reasonable as well.
Mm,
I think you could
interesting.
go with 3 points and keep the loadout, or you would give him enough so that he could take a pro torp at an R3 and make himself a little bit better, but than he is now. Single modded. Unless you have like Aaron Kraken or you're building a list around him having double modded pro torps, he's really just a support piece that can threaten but won't do too much otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially at I4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 4 points though, because it's a ship you could lose really quickly,
Mhm.
and
I mean, he's so easy to ionize. That's the problem too. Ion tech is really good right now too, right? And with Vader with his ion missiles, you take ion torps or anything like that. We saw it in I think top four at Worlds, where it was there was a Dutch list. He set up all the shots. He set up everything he needed. But then Gaelic just fired an ion cannon and destroyed everything. Like everything
yeah,
started to fall apart.
and that knocks off the target lock. It just
Yep.
real and it shuts off his ability. Yeah, just
Exactly. Yeah.
huge.
Absolutely. Manny, which one do you want to take? We have Horton or Nora?
I'll take Nora Wexley. Yeah, I'll take her.
You don't mind reading her initiative and her ability.
Yeah, so Nora Wexley, her ability is while you defend, if there's an enemy ship at range 0 to 1, add a 1 evade result to your dice result. So you basically have a evade every turn if you're in range 1.
At I5 with worth 5 points. And
Yep,
eight
yeah.
is that 18
Worth
loadout?
yep, 18 loadout.
This is a tough one, man. 5 point Y
Yeah.
Wing.
I believe a list did pretty well with her, right? Recently? Am I crazy? Or
Well, the Arc 170 version of Nora, I believe, is 5 as well. Yeah. So I think it might have been Arc 170 Nora. I'm not
oh,
sure.
okay. Alright. Well, having 25%, like 25% of your opponent's win condition on a Y-wing sounds not great, to be
Sounds like
honest.
you're throwing the game.
Yeah, a little bit. I
The
mean,
mob's gotten to you.
yeah. Like she's got range 1, but also you also
Wait,
had your
that's not
opponent
where you
enter
want to be
die.
with a
Yeah,
Y-wing.
exactly. Yeah. It's a bit counterintuitive. I mean, in 2.0, I kind of like flying her, but now in 2.5,
Yeah, I mean, this counts as she's passed somebody if like she's flown past somebody or right next to whatever. Like there are situations where she can use her ability getting shot up by someone else, and she's, like, happens to be at range 1 of an enemy ship.
Yeah, and a Y-wing's like you kinda want to take they kinda wanna take, like, a Y-wing to be, like, a support role. I don't know where she really fits as a support ship. I mean, in terms of loadout,
So, would you break it or buy it? 18 loadout, 5 points.
I would buy her at 4. Yeah.
Yeah, at 18
Yeah.
loadout? That seems pretty
Yeah.
pretty pretty regressive, but in a good way,
Yeah.
I think.
No torpedo slot
Oh,
though.
there's no torpedo
Yeah,
slot.
yeah,
Oh, then
you'd
what
have
do
to
people
well,
use on her to,
yeah,
like, fill
break and
fill
buy.
in all those slots?
Yeah, that's pretty silly. I mean, it's like, "Okay, Nora, here, take an ion cannon turret." That's insane.
Yeah, this is a ship that you really want advanced proton torpedoes on.
Or just even
Yeah.
just a torpedo, ion torps, plasmas,
She
brotor,
has
Yeah.
a
whatever.
gunner slot? Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
yeah, she's got a gunner slot, yeah.
So you could do like ion cannon turret, veteran turret gunner. That's gets you at 8 points of loadout, and then you could do like proton bombs, and then you could give her R3 astromech, and then you have like 2 points left over. So you could be like, cool, I'll take marksmanship or something. I mean, expert handling. Boom, you're at 18. That is not a very sexy loadout.
No, yeah, the lack of a torpedo slot really hurts her. Like, yeah, again, like for 5 points is a bit too much.
Yeah, because you would rather take at the same price you take Arc 170
Luke.
Nora all day.
Yeah.
If you had to pick
Mhm.
another Nora of the 2 options total. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think we all agree on Nora for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think it might be both a break and a buy.
Yeah, I agree. Rounding out Break It or Buy It, we've got Horton Psalm. I love that name. It's just such a great Star Wars name.
Ooh.
Horton's 3 points, has 7 loadout, and is an I-4. His ability reads, while you perform an attack, you may re-roll 1 attack die for each other friendly ship at range 0 to 1 of the defender. So it's kind of similar to Lieutenant Blount. It's the same trigger as Lieutenant Blount's ability, except instead of getting an additional attack die, you get to re-roll a number of die for each friendly ship range 0 to 1. So it's actually a little bit better than Blount's in terms of how many opportunities. So interesting. I think Horton, if you were to like immediately think about what you could put him, like what types of lists you'd want to build with him, it would be like Fang fighters or like A Wings, things that like to go fast and plug up people's lanes and be aggressive because then he could use his ability for his he can use it for any type of attack, special attacks, turret attacks, primaries, whatever, you name it. He can use it. 7 loadout though. At 3 points, 7 loadout isn't atrocious, but for a platform that really kind of needs compensation for its chassis, it's still too low. So
Yep.
I would actually I would buy him at 3, but I would actually break his loadout. So there's a little bit of break and buy again. And I would let me just compare. I'm gonna go over to Holoken's standardized card really quick and just kind of read the upgrades again and see what roughly that loadout comes out to be. APT is 8 points. Dorsal would make it 10. Precise Astromech, it's hard to put a price on that, but honestly, I would make Precise Astromech is worth at least 6 or 7 points because it allows you to get double modded shots. So that's I would just round up to 18 points of loadout. So I would give Horton 12 or 13. Allows him at 3 points. You could be a torp carrier, which there aren't a lot of pro torp carriers in Rebels besides Luke right now, so that's not really a huge deal. You could take missiles with him. That would be pretty interesting. You just do concussion missiles and R3 astromech. You could put seismics. So yeah, I'd say 13 loadout. Keep him at 3 points, but break his loadout.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I mean, honestly, I'm thinking I think you can actually make all of these 3 points.
Even
Nora
Nora?
maybe yeah, I mean Nora
Uh,
toned down. I mean, the thing is I mean, the thing with the like with Nora too though is it's like if Tomax is 3 points, you tone down the loadout on Nora, like I think it
Yeah.
would also
No, I
be
don't
totally
think it's
fine
I
at
don't
3
I'm It
points.
doesn't freak me out. Yeah, you just need to be mindful of the loadout.
Yeah. You could tone that down, but Horton too. I mean, like I think that that's fine at the 3 points. This one, it has to stay close to everybody else. So this one's gaining more benefit from that. It's forcing you to fly a certain way.
He
I
doesn't
would
have to be,
bump
it's
up
each other friendly ship at
or
raise 0 to 1 to the defender.
of the defender. Oh, okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So no, that's
So just
even
as long as you have buddies over
yeah, just
there that
hang
are
back.
close.
Yeah, I think also
Mhm.
totally fine at 3 points. Could definitely use like a bump in and bump up and loadout. if I'm building a list now too, yeah, ships like Horton is kind of what I'm looking for something like this.
I would actually another to add to the break it part of this. I would actually add a cannon because his ability, like getting free rerolls, is great, but he's still firing single modded attacks unless he has a coordinator. So
Mm.
if you could give him like heavy laser cannon or ion cannon or tractor beam, then he can
Ooh,
focus and then re-roll his attacks with that his ability. I just feel like he'd be more efficient. That just seems kind of fun.
yeah, no, and
Yeah,
a
I
threat
agree.
and getting dangerous there.
Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, a
Yeah.
cannon with not a ton of load, with 12 loadout, you could take an ion
No, I
cannon.
mean, I think that's totally fair. I four, it's gonna be even with the high initiative, like it's still gonna be tough to get those bullseye shots.
Yeah, and he that also makes him a little less ion proof himself. Like he doesn't have to take locks and then lose his special attacks
Yeah.
automatically when someone looks at him. So yeah, just food for thought. It's kind of cool. Yeah, so if you guys ever have suggestions of other chassis in the game, it can be extended as well as standard legal or break it or buy it. We'd love to hear from you. You can always drop suggestions in our podcast section of our Discord. Appreciate everyone that has given us feedback and been a part of our community, especially
Yes.
listening to the cast. Very proud of where we've gotten so far, and we all kind of unanimously love this section. This segment is a lot of fun.
No, yeah, this is one of my favorite sections, and let us know too what your builds and loadouts are for ideas for the Y wing. What would you do to help put them on the table? But thanks again for listening too. We definitely wouldn't be doing this without you.
Shout out to the Gold Squadron veteran, of course, gone but not forgotten.
Yes,
Oh wait, I'm sorry. What?
The Y wing pilot.
The generic, the Gold
Yeah,
Squadron veteran.
Oh, okay, all right.
Because man, he's like,
but
I
what are
thought
you talking about?
so. Like, I thought you were talking about the podcast that something
Oh
happened, and
yeah,
I was like, wait, what?
no, no, GSP's doing just great. They're doing
yeah,
fine.
Yeah,
Shout
it's
out
like
to my
another
friends
one
over at
bites the
GSP
dust.
as
Oh
well.
yeah,
no.
they're good friends.
It's actually a great segue because the topic from the audience is from Jason Grimm, a member of Gold Squadron, podcast of Gold Squadron. Him and I are buddies. I met him for the first time at Worlds this earlier this year. Jason, basically, we're moving now into new players, right?
Yeah,
Barriers to entry for new players. So before we dive into maybe some specific things that our audience has mentioned in Discord about things that they've noticed are barriers for new players, if you guys had to name the biggest one that you think is the biggest barrier for a new player to get into the game of X-Wing right now, what would it be? Manny, I'll start with you.
Oh, way to put
Pick
me on the
one.
spot.
I know.
Yeah. So this used to be a pretty big complaint for me. Since it released the a new starter sets, most of my concerns about this have kind of been resolved. But if I had to think of one currently existing, it would be how a person who doesn't know about any of the squad building apps will have to go to the AMG
Yeah,
website
it's a
and
big
just
one.
like look at a bunch of PDFs to assemble their squad, and it's just like not a great time.
No, it's actually
uh,
gonna discourage people from playing. It's how
yeah,
much of a tedious venture
yeah,
that is.
especially if there's like a points update, and I don't think AMG highlights what has
Not
been
consistently.
changed.
There have been
Yeah,
issues
okay,
with that. Yeah.
yeah. So that's probably my biggest thing.
Andrew, what do you think? Biggest thing, biggest
yeah.
barrier to entry?
I mean, honestly, I would say for most people, I feel it would be finding somewhere to play, getting ships to the table. If you don't live in near like a major city,
Mhm.
is
Yeah, the
finding
more
a
rural areas.
yeah like a play group that regularly meets or one that meets on your schedule. Because it's even though lots of places have like X-wing nights, I feel pretty fortunate. Chicago is a great hub for X-wing, but I know there's a lot of places that aren't as much, and that would be my guess.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a really good one. I would say it's not definitive. Like the product that you see around the core sets, there you see a core set that is still for sale that isn't the core set you should get, but has the faction has like the factions that you could get still, and
Mm.
it's not clear which core set you should get. There's the newer ones that are more expensive, but maybe you want to save some money, so you're like, I'll get this one instead, and you might think it's a more budget-friendly option. It'll get you into the game the same way. Yes and no. And how do you figure that out without, like, being proactive and researching and Googling
Yeah.
and asking
Knowing where to
around?
Yeah.
start.
This is the past, like the thing that separated 2.0 from the previous one was the color of the box, right? I believe these new boxes
The
are
black
still
box,
black.
yeah.
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 Um
I totally, when I first started playing, bought the 1.01, not realizing that
Yeah.
there was a 2.01.
Yeah, I didn't know either until I asked around and I was told that, "Hey, if you wanna play with the group here in the city, we're all playing this version of the game now." I'm like, "Huh, okay, I'll have to look that up." After I spent,
yep.
like, hundreds of dollars on 1.0 stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
my gosh.
brutal.
Yeah. Oh, but fond memories, but yes, also brutal. Back when I was more naive and more willing to throw my money away. Maybe I'm still throwing it away, but just
Yeah, I was about
less
to
willing.
say.
Yeah. Yeah, we run a tight ship, but ships aren't cheap, as I like to say. And the community, these are the 3 main things that I pulled from the Discord. Isn't is and we've already mentioned these, but just specifically one of them being engaging with the community. As you said, like, Andrew, do you live near a community hub or a game store that actually supports
Yeah.
X-Wing League nights, local nights? Is that a thing? Erratas, the second one, erratas and squad building. There's no
Yeah.
Yeah.
the AMG has basically, without explicitly saying they endorse and want people to go to Yasby and Launch Bay, they've done that. That is, they've given up on an official squad builder, which I think is a bad idea because there's no alternative that they see but to make it unclear as to where you build your squads. Um, the the solution to that is either you buy one of them or you just give in and and give a resources link or something in a PDF or a pamphlet in the core sets so that people can actually play the
Mhm.
game that you're trying to get them to buy into. And the third one is if you realize that there are 7 factions and you don't wanna play Rebels or Empire. We were told that there's a strong possibility that we get all 7 factions represented in core sets at some point. Do I actually think that's gonna happen now? No, I just don't think that that's gonna be a priority, but it would be great. I think that would be the best possible thing for this game is
Yes.
to have all 7 represented in core sets. But what if you
Yep.
don't wanna
Yeah.
play Rebels or Empire? It's something to think about, like, right? It's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's something to think
Yeah,
about.
I
Has there
mean,
been any word on any future like
No, we would
expansion when it
hear
comes to
all
the core
about it, man.
sets?
We would be talking about it right now too if we did.
yeah.
We're thirsty for some news
Yeah,
for
we've been in a
sure
drought for a while now, I feel.
for quite a while since Adepticon, pretty much.
But yes, that's true. If you don't want to play Rebel or Empire, starting is a lot more difficult for you
Yeah,
for sure.
and I think the squad building is probably the biggest thing, the biggest barrier to entry because it's just
Oh,
a
for sure.
fundamental like you need it to play the game. You can
Mhm.
play the game at home with your partner or with your brother or roommate or whatever, like, it might not be a community, but you can still play the game at home, so engaging with the community is very important, but it's not gonna prevent you from trying the game and playing it, and non-Rebel and non you know, if Rebel Empire factions only, again, you can still play the game and get to know it, but squad building, can't play the game in any capacity if you don't know how to put together the squad, and as Manny said, you go online and you start going through these PDFs, it's gonna feel very archaic and very tedious to have to and you don't even know what you're looking at. You're like, "I've never heard of I don't know what these things do." That was my issue at
Yeah.
one point. I was like, "I don't know what these cards are they good? Are they bad? I don't know. I'm gonna try it. I don't know."
Yeah, I feel a lot of that is for any game though too.
Well,
Um,
the learning part
I
is for sure,
remember,
like, is something good or bad? Yes,
yeah,
that's for sure. But it's overwhelming when it's in conjunction with a really poor way to put together your squad, like having to go on a website and look at PDFs, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
oh sure,
There's a way easier way uh to do that, but
yeah.
it's just currently not it's just
So
currently not implemented.
right, the amount of flack that the official squad builders got, there were 2 versions of it. I get it. They were bad. They were buggy. But they kinda need it. Like, if that they did it out of necessity and it just didn't work out, and it when they announced that it was going away for good and it got the kibosh, I think a lot of people kinda rejoiced, like, kind of, sarcastically, but, like, no, like, if the alternative is having no idea how to put their squads together, I want an official squad builder, even if it is a little buggy or crashes sometimes, like,
Yeah.
and this is nothing against Stephen Kim or Andre Lind of Yasby and Launchbay respectively, like, they do amazing work, and I do
Yeah.
prefer their
I
apps. I
was
prefer their apps over any official anything. We always will, always have, always will, but at the same time, there needs to be something,
Yeah.
But I mean, boy, what a service to the community. I mean, one, it's a ton of work for them to
and
put
not
that
free.
together. That's free, labor that that
Yeah.
AMG gets to have support, their product. Um and so if they had an official squad builder, I think that would be a huge boon and give some options for players,
Yeah,
to
right?
do.
Just a QR code, like, download our app, put together your squad, and get on the battlefield, the star map today, like, something, like, instead
Mhm.
Yeah.
of just opening it up and being like, "How do I do this? What is going on? I'm confused." Um, yeah, I mean, so I appreciate the community. Recently I saw a post putting together basically a one-stop shop, like, not a one-sheeter, but just a few pages of just, like, helpful tips and guides, resources for getting into the game. Love
Yeah.
that.
That's good to hear. But at the end of the day, like,
Yeah.
that's not our job.
But that's right, exactly.
It should
And the
be
community
AMG's
has done the
job.
heavy lifting, the
Yeah.
heaviest of lifting, and done an exceptional job.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
but it is inherently unfair for Atomic Mass Games to kinda just be able to be like, "Well,
Shows up the
um,
community's hard work.
we're not gonna legally, we don't and we can't really say go, do work with the unofficial stuff for us," but they are piggybacking off of it.
Yeah.
And I know they can't just say, "Hey, like, use this unofficial stuff," but if that's the
Or you could
case,
just like
make your own app
buy them out. Yeah,
or
that's
buy something.
just like
Right.
yeah. Because like these guys update the app like literally at least 24 hours after like
Yeah.
an update
Within
happens.
within
It's kind of
hours, you see
Yeah.
insane.
updates.
Like
Yeah.
you got to love the dedication that these
And they're
guys have.
dedicated players. They
They're
played
like
both of these
Atlas
guys
who's holding
play.
the X-Wing community above their heads.
Right? Right. That's a
Yeah.
good reference,
Cuz like
yeah.
I don't think events would be as big if it wasn't for these two guys. Cuz it would be just such a drag to just create squads.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's so much that lives on the XWS,
Yeah. And
platform,
and it goes
basically.
beyond that. It goes to stream overlays. Yasby again, Yazo,
Mhm.
yet another squad overlay is from Stephen Kim. Like, that's how you watch your X-Wing
Yeah,
streams, Andrew, when you and I do commentary together. That overlay is another community created resource. There is no alternative. Like, that's the only thing, and it's
yeah,
perfect. It's so nice and easy to follow and clean and
it's
roll
absolutely
better.
incredible.
We have
Yeah.
Worlds Open qualifiers using roll better as the way to facilitate tournaments. So, I mean, it's just worth there's a micro we should be putting our microscope on this because the squad builders or rather sorry, the core sets have just rolled out, but only 2 of them. We want more of those. We want more everything, but this is something that they really need to try to emphasize and figure out. How do we make this less confusing for people who want to give us money and who want to play this game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Jason, thank you so much for dropping that question, that topic. Always appreciate that. Again, we always
Yes.
ask before our next recording, what do you guys want to talk about? What do you want to hear about? And we are going to continue talking about new players. So this is perfect. Appreciate it.
Well, I was gonna say I don't mind just extending this
Oh, I'm not done.
conversation a
I
little bit
wasn't
because
necessarily
I
closing
guess.
it. I just
Oh,
wanted
okay.
to thank again. It's helpful. Go ahead though. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that was a great question. I was gonna say, Manny, since you're not a new player, but you're
He's
the
a
newest
noob.
player
I still count myself as
here.
a
Well,
noob.
just
Eternally, I'm a
for all
noob.
the people on this podcast, you've only been playing for what, 2 to 3
No,
years now
it's
instead of
Not
a year
even.
and a
Not even
half.
two. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
just a
year
year
and
and
a
a
half.
half. Okay, so yeah, but fairly newer as well. So what was your experience like coming into
Yeah,
X Wing?
so I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I got an X-Wing because a game store opened up close to my parents that sold X-Wing stuff, And I was just like, "Oh, I've always been interested in this game. Is there a community here?" And the community was just a single person, Lloyd. He told me everything I knew. But if I didn't have Lloyd, I probably would not be this deep into the game right now. Because
Hmm.
because my first question was like, well, then how do you build a squad? Like, how do you choose your upgrades? And I don't believe the manual that came in the 2.0 box said anything about that. So I probably would have had to stumble my way online and just find the answers through the community.
Yeah, well, it's everybody needs a Lloyd, right?
Um,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, that's for sure. So you had someone that was guiding you in then through the
Yeah.
process as well. So, and then what was your experience like, when you were coming to Chicago? Because I remember I believe I first met you at Good
Yeah. Yeah.
Games.
Um, uh, so since I'm in Andersonville, Dice Dojo is close by. Also went to their Facebook group. And I created a post to ask, "Is like, hey, is X-wing still a thing here?" And then some random guy just told me to text, no, to reach out to a prick named Nick Sperry.
Name Nick, yeah. Word
And
goes fast when someone's looking to play X-Wing, man. Everyone
yeah,
always tells me.
and then one thing led to another, and I'm here hosting a podcast about X-wing. So yeah.
You had no idea when you were going onto Facebook being like, "Oh, this is a fun game," that it would then become a
Oh
core
yeah,
pillar
like
of your
traveling
life.
and just like stuff that I
Yeah.
do outside of work. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That could, for the listener at home, that could be your
Yes,
story
you
too.
could be
You
me.
never
You
know.
could be
Could be
us.
me. Or oh man, like my trajectory was
Yeah.
ridiculous. I'm like, oh, I'll just like casually get into this game, and then I'm like streaming like out of state for like double 2 day tournaments. I'm like,
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't think, when I was getting into X-wing and met all of you, that like I thought, oh, I'm gonna play this fun tabletop game, not thinking that, oh, I would be meeting some of my
yeah,
best
that's
friends
really
in the
sweet but
world
true.
and
Yeah.
traveling
Yeah.
all over the country and like meeting cool people from like all over the whole country, and having just like so many good times. Like this is like one innocuous, like, oh, Barnes and Noble is having a sale. X-wing stuff is going to be this
Yeah.
defining
Yeah.
moment in my life. At the time, I
I
had
don't know
no
if you ever
idea.
seen that meme where it's a guy that's like trying to line up a bunch of dominoes, but like each domino gets progressively bigger. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
That's the X-wing
Yeah.
iceberg. Yeah, you really see at the top. Yeah, because I was gonna say there's I forgot the RPG, but there's an old school RPG. I believe it was Planescape, but don't quote me on that. Um, where like there's a quest that you go help a farmer collect 10 apples, and that quest is one of the most crazy. The story that comes out of that is one of the most crazy wild stories like in the entire game. Like it's this totally innocuous thing that, but then you go through these series of events that you end up going to a different dimension and like all this other crazy stuff.
Is
So I felt like
yeah.
X-wing was one of those gateways for me.
There is
Yeah.
something to be said about how the type of friendships that are cultivated in this community versus maybe some, not to say that you wouldn't get this in other communities, but I think it's extra special with how loyal X-wing people are to each other, beyond just their X-wing lives, but personal lives and everything. I mean, Andrew referred me to the job that I have now, so it's just like kind of crazy. Like you never know how you can network, as they say. Like just like you make some lifelong
Yeah.
friends doing sometimes the most silly and random thing or fun things in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say the one thing that is not a barrier to entry is the community itself. Like have never met just like such a warm,
Absolutely.
welcoming, awesome community to be a part of. But before I close out, Nick, because you were well into X-wing when I met you, when I first started playing X-wing, I watched Nick being one of the judges at Worlds in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Uh, and so I was like, oh wow, this guy is, knows everything about it. I was always curious, what was your first experience like getting into the game?
Yeah, I it's so funny that one of my old roommates, his name is Gannon. He now works for the Baltimore Orioles in the analytics department, which is pretty cool. He for Christmas he casually bought me the Force Awakens core set. He's like, we play board games with each other. He's like, this looked like fun. You like Star Wars, so I thought, why not? And then like he's like, dude, I can't. And then like fast forward to be at World, he's like, dude, I can't believe you fell this hard into this freaking game. I had no freaking idea. Like, what have I done? Yeah, it was great, man. And I was still pretty new to the game. Like I was probably 8 or 9 months into X-Wing when I judged Worlds. So I
No
asked if I
way.
could judge some events, and he invited me to do Worlds. Um, Matt Holland, shout out, he used to run OP for FFG. He's like, "Would you want to do Worlds?" I'm like, "Well, I don't have as much experience." He's like, "That's fine. You wouldn't be the head judge." So I knew a lot, but I was still learning a lot, and it was a really, really fascinating experience to like enter that world and that community through the scope of a lens of a judge. It was pretty wild.
Man, so when I met you, you still weren't even in your first year
I
yet.
think by the time we met, I was about like I'd just hit like a year into the game, but it was still pretty
Wow,
new.
that's
Yeah,
I man, I
like a
thought you were
total
one of
season,
the,
long
you know
term vet. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
that's good.
Wow,
At
that's
least I
that's
came off that
incredible.
way. I guess.
You looked like you
Fake
knew
it till
what
you
you
make
were
it.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely nice to reminisce about these things for sure. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and we're still here, and that's the coolest thing. We're doing so much more. 312 Squadron exists, born kind of right before COVID, and then really grew through the pandemic, and then exploded the last year and a half. So, and we're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see X-Wing going anywhere anytime
Yeah,
soon.
we won't let it anyways.
Exactly.
That's how stubborn we
Absolutely
are.
not, no.
Yeah. Well, I want to do before we wrap up, I want to do a couple of just quick shout outs for upcoming events. First off, we sold out our Windy City trials already. Like that's awesome. I wasn't worried about it, but like we hit 22 already. So I don't even have to worry about players
Wow.
right now. And Manny even got in, even though he was
Yeah,
slacking
right?
hard. He was slacking so freaking hard, bro.
I was
Oh
like
my god.
3rd on the list, like 3rd on the wait list, I believe.
Yeah, not third to register, like the last person to get in. Pretty funny.
Bro, just
Um,
like have more spots, bro. That's pretty
just make the
seems like a
store bigger,
pretty
bro. Make
easy
bigger store.
problem to solve.
Yeah, I'll talk to Good Games about doubling the size of their store.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, right, and
Yeah,
city
I have
rents for,
$5.
yeah, game shops. Mhm.
PAX Unplugged is December 1 through 3 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As they're looking for another big Worlds Open qualifier. That'll be the second to last one of the OP cycle before Worlds. It'll be this one and then
Yeah,
LVO, which Andrew and I actually will be at. So we might see you there.
that's right. I bought a
Yeah, I
non-refundable
gotta
plane
buy
ticket,
mine in a
so
couple
I'm
weeks.
I'm
I'll be doing
there.
that shortly. The 18th through the 21st is the Las Vegas Open in Las Vegas, Nevada. So maybe see you there. Yeah,
Really looking forward to that.
absolutely. Any last words, guys, before I do our little outro?
I'll probably bring my Oreo cheesecake to the turkey trot.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to players and be like, bring sweets and goodies if you want. That
Yeah.
would be amazing, dude. I'll just steal the whole thing.
Do like a potluck.
Yeah, it would be awesome. That's the plan for sure. Andrew,
Also,
Someone bring actual
yeah, if,
turkey.
if
stop.
you were listening to I'm bringing turkey. I was if you're listening to last episode, Nick and I joked about we were going to do a gauntlet v gauntlet match. We
We
actually
did
played
it.
that match. Nick wanted it with the Empire. I decided to go for a scum build, but it was a
I
really
never
close
side
game.
slipped with heart. I
Uh,
felt bad.
you know,
Never did.
my gauntlet stayed around a little bit longer, and I took out your gauntlet with
Yeah,
Dead
Gauntlet
Man
killed the
Switch on
Gauntlet in
mine.
the Gauntlet versus Gauntlet
Yeah,
game. Yeah.
it felt right. It felt like the
Anytime I
right thing to
wanted to
do.
side slip with Captain Hark, there was stuff in the way. It was a bummer. It was just kind of a thing.
We placed the obstacles so
Yeah,
good.
or
I
just
felt so good
ships.
about that
Just a lot
obstacle
of
placement.
stuff.
Oh my
Uh,
god, it was of course it's a big traffic jam when you're
uh,
bringing
Oh
2
yeah.
gauntlets in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
A cluster F.
Well, if you guys ever want to watch crazy stuff like that, we do live stream on Twitch. We upload the replays of our streams on YouTube. You can follow us and like our page on Facebook. And of course, you can get in on the action and get in on the conversation with our Discord. We appreciate you all listening to our podcast and being a part of the greatest. I'm going to call it the greatest gaming group and community out there. We love you all very much and appreciate it.
You heard it here
Yep.
first.
You're here first.
That
Breaking
last.
news.
Breaking news. My name is Nick Sperry,
I'm Andrew.
I'm Manuel.
and we appreciate you all listening to episode 6 of the 312 Squadron podcast. We will see you later.
See you later.